Okay, I'd like to bring this meeting to order, the Village of Villa Park Board of Trustees meeting of February 26th. Clerk Kornecki, please call the roll.
Trustee Alfano? Here. Trustee Cordova? Trustee Corkery?
Here.
Trustee Kozar?
Here.
Trustee Kumar?
Here.
Trustee Patrick?
Here.
President Kazone?
Here, if we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We remain standing, please. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together this evening. May we have meaningful discussions that will help us to assist our village in these trying times. Help us to make the decisions that will affect the staff, directors, and the residents of Villa Park. Guide us through the challenges we face, and may we approach each other with respect and kindness as one group. In your name, amen.
Amen.
Okay, we'll move to item 3, amendments to the agenda. Do we have any amendments? Trustee Patrick.
Mr. President, I'd like to amend item number 7 to include the recognition of a few very important young men that we have here tonight, and I'd like for section 7 to come before public comments.
Okay. So we have a recommendation to move item 7 before item 4. Second? Okay. Trustee Kozar, any discussion on that? Okay, Clerk Kornecki, please. Roll to move 7 before 4.
Okay, Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
President Kazone?
Yes. Okay. Trustee Patrick, would you like to
Thank
make a
you.
presentation?
So before I get started and I introduce you to some of these people that we are talking about, these young men here, I'd just like to talk about how last November I was given the privilege and the opportunity to coach the Junior Warriors 8th grade bronze basketball boys team here. And it had been my first ever basketball coaching experience. I've coached other sports, but basketball never before. And at first, our team, we struggled in the beginning. We had a lot of ups and downs throughout the season. And as I've been here before in this seat, talking to you in my trustee report about the status of this team and some of their successes along the way, I've mentioned that. And over the season, this group of dedicated young men here had fought their way and barely scraped it into the playoffs this season. But when they got into the playoffs this season, over this weekend, they did something that they've never accomplished before as a team, and that's they won 3 games in a row. That 3 games in a row got them the championship for the entire 8th grade bronze basketball team. And the privilege and the honor of being able to coach these guys and see how they have grown over the years over the weeks is amazing. And it really was a great moment over the weekend to celebrate what they have overcome to basically become champions here. So I wanted to bring them to this meeting and recognize them and just let everybody know what a great group of guys these are, hardworking individuals, and I'm so very proud of them. So I just like to bring everybody up to the middle of the podium, call your name out one by one, introduce you to the rest of Villa Park, and then maybe grab a quick photo op with the board before you guys head off, if that's okay. Yeah? All right. Thank you. So maybe I should go to the podium here, but
You're going to announce them by position and,
Stats and.
stats and
I
that
don't have all those at the ready, but I will tell you.
You should be
First off,
by the
Jack
microphone
Conley, Jake Conley,
for the
come on up.
public.
Jack Wren. these individuals, they really did overcome a lot of adversity this year, and they really finished strong. And this is a group that I'm very proud of. Their hard work and dedication got them some of these cool trophies, and I'm just wanting to introduce you to Villa Park Junior Warriors' newest champions. So, congratulations. Take a group picture, we'd really appreciate that. So, hey guys, scoot down here, get in the middle here. Come on in. Big.
Way to represent.
Congratulations. Good job. Congratulations.
Keep going, tighten up, tighten up, tighten up. Those wide lenses. Thank you. All good? All right, everybody, again, this is the Villa Park Junior Warriors.
I think I've ever been over here.
Oh, really?
No different. Not what I expected.
Yeah, right there.
They're the first place winners of the bronze basketball team.
Nice work, Coach.
They're the 8th grade bronze basketball team, but is it the bronze basketball?
Congratulations to our Willowbrook Junior Warriors and their first-year coach. He's got a career ahead of him now. Okay, we will move on to item number 5, public comments on, or item 4, public comments on agenda items. Anyone signed up? Clerk Connectney.
Yes, Cheryl Tucker on item 12A and B.
Good evening. It's nice and warm outside. What a change. I just want, I don't know how many, anyone else in the village or town, but I've lost count of how many deals the village has made with businesses in town with the TIF and tax breaks where the Villa Park received no revenue from them. I just want to know if we have a safe net on this new deal you're going to make tonight and the changes you're going to make with the TIF. The people of Villa Park don't want to see more debt like we saw with the North Avenue TIF, when North Avenue Mall stores closed and the businesses folded on North Avenue. And most of them had tax breaks or TIF involved in it, leaving Villa Park with a big financial bond debt. I admit I tried to read through all the legal jargon looking for answers. I found that Avenue is now Wildflower Drive, and nowhere did I see that the village has received any revenue from Wildflower Harley Davis. Now we've got a new company moving next door, Lone Star Cardinal Motorcycle. I don't know if they're associated with Harley Davis. I couldn't tell or not, but I admit that I'm trying to figure out that if we have no tax breaks on this, why are we adding another one on the books? We already, if I can tell, we already have on the books Point Blank Shooting Range. We have CC Motorcycling Center. We have Casey's, possibly more brewing, along with the tax and TIF deals that we're going to be making if we ever see the groundbreaking and completion of Hawthorne's project at the train station or the Union on Villa. I love to see businesses in Villa Park that provide tax money to Villa Park. So as a resident, I don't have to keep hearing the village board or the village president say, we do not have money to do our streets, sewers, flooding issues, swimming pool, or the Tri-Scenic Bike Path. As a resident, we're seeing you vote on TIF changes to St. Charles, Kenilworth, along with North Avenue. Being told these changes are for the residents of Villa Park, that they will benefit us. I'm sure hoping they will, because that's the point of this all. I'm asking again, does the village have a plan in place in case these tax break businesses that we're approving now don't build, move, close up, or sell before Villa Park receives any of the tax funds or collects anything in Villa Park? The decisions you make tonight will affect all of us, so please keep that in mind.
Okay, thanks, Cheryl. Clerk Kennick, anyone else?
That's the only one for agenda.
Okay, do we have anyone else for agenda items? Okay, item 5 is public comments on non-agenda items. Do we have anyone signed up?
Yeah, Joe Amori. Let's talk about the train station and meetings.
Hi, good evening. Joe Amori, 309 East Maple. Member of the Bike, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee, so as a commissioner, I try to expand on that. Longtime resident, I have things that affect the village in that regard I like to bring to your attention. I know there was no coffee with the board last month, so hopefully there'll be one this Saturday, and we can, I can expect to get some answers that may not be available at this time. So we saw on social media that the train station is now locked up with chains and padlocks, both their south and west doors. There were signs posted in the window that basically say station closed until further notice. It was put out, not by me, but that Union Pacific is the one that locked the doors for who knows how long. If they don't have it, if you guys haven't been provided any information, that I think it may be appropriate to put a sign on the door that says, this is Union Pacific property, here's their publicly facing contact information if you have concerns. They actually, their webpage has a outreach to the general public about anything regarding their communities. So, as I said, it's, we're still in winter. Primarily, we're concerned about our station users having shelter. This nice weather may not last much longer, but just the same, they deserve to have the shelter, even if it's a small area. And Metro just put new signs out there, a new marquee, which I think is really nice. So somebody's looking to make improvements, and hopefully you folks have been informed of what they are and how long they'll take. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is I spent a lot of time in the city of Wheaton. They have a bicycle network that I think is second to none. Their streets are laid out with different destination signs, and I went in on my own to go sit in on one of their meetings that is called the Bicyclist and Pedestrian Commission. Their meetings are made on Zoom. They have Zoom access. There was a couple of commissioners that were out of town. They were able to participate in the meetings. I think this would be a benefit to our residents, seeing how the Iowa Center's coming down. We may like to have a common space that's shared by the commissions, that we could put our meetings out there, open them up to the public. Trustees and village officials who can't make them, and there'd be a better record than just having what we're doing right now. Most of them are on audio only. I printed out a couple of their agendas for anybody who would like to see how they set it up. So the other thing I wanted to mention, that I will be sending you all emails. I spoke to the village, the commissioners at that meeting told me to contact the
30 seconds.
city clerk. Her name is Andrea Rosedale. I spoke to her today. She said she'd be very happy to share any information with any village officials, because they said the work was done mostly in-house. The ordinances that they had to pass in order to make it legally to do meetings on Zoom, and they would be happy to share that information with us. So that's all I had to say. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thanks, Joe.
Okay, the next person signed up is Beanish Kershid. Ceasefire resolution.
I have just a little paper to give to you guys. Can I give that?
Give it to the village clerk, I think.
Hello, it's good to see you all again. My name is Beanish, and I am a Villa Park resident. And I was here 2 weeks ago to talk about the ceasefire resolution for the genocide occurring in Gaza. At that time, I gave you an overall story of kind of what was happening there, but so this time I decided I'll just give you a couple of incidences that have happened in just the past 2 weeks since the last time I saw you all. So first, a Palestinian mother climbed onto an Israeli military truck. She was arrested, and then her 2 young children were kidnapped. Israel dropped down brochures from the sky to tell them that they should move to a different safe zone. And in the process of those people moving, Israeli soldiers came and attacked them and killed them while they were trying to move through those safe zones. A small child told her pet cat, "Please don't eat us when we are dead." The Israeli military fired on a crowd of Palestinians waiting for food aid trucks, and they killed 10 people while those people were waiting. And a 2-month-old died of hunger in Gaza. And that's just a small sliver of examples of what has happened in just the past 2 weeks. You can imagine what's happened in the past 4 months. And due to all of this, I'm here to ask you to put a ceasefire resolution on the agenda. You may be thinking that this is not a local issue, that what I told you is horrifying, but not something that you guys should be dealing with. But the reality is that your constituents kind of decide what's important, what's local. We are your constituents, and we're telling you that this is an important issue for us. So we're asking and requesting you guys, all of you, to do something about it. As you may know, City of Chicago, Bolingbrook, DuPage has all recently passed ceasefire resolutions. All over the country, there's been over 60 municipalities that have passed ceasefire resolutions. Other villages and towns are also trying to make the same efforts. I just imagine if we all the municipalities did this, if we all passed it, we would have some real influence on the federal government, and they wouldn't be able to ignore the people anymore. I know you are all good and kind-hearted people. You wouldn't be sitting in those seats if you didn't care about your community and you didn't care about your constituents. We're asking you to stand up and use your voice.
30 seconds.
Let's make it known to everyone in the Chicagoland area, all over the nation, that Villa Park doesn't condone what Israel is doing. Let's make it, you as 7 people have that power as elected officials. Let's not be on the wrong side of history. To be silent is on the side of the oppressor. So let's get this ceasefire resolution on the agenda, and let's have a discussion about this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Bob Wagner, Green Champion.
Thank you. Bob Wagner, 114 West Monroe. I'm here as chairman of the Village's Environmental Concerns Commission, and I'm here just to kind of promote our Green Champion Award. We're accepting nominations for the 2023 Green Champion Award. In 2016, the commission created the Green Champion Award program to recognize any outstanding environmental achievements of individuals, groups, organizations, or companies in Villa Park. And if you go to the Commission's webpage, you'll see a whole list of categories that would qualify someone to be nominated for the Green Champion Award. So you can submit an online nomination form by accessing the Village of Villa Park website and searching for Green Champion Award, or using the link on the Commission's webpage. And our deadline for submission is March 21st. This was publicized in the most recent edition of the Village Matters. And we're hopeful. We have one nominee already, but we're hoping to get more. So, yeah, if you can get those into us, we'd love to hear about, individuals, organizations, businesses that people feel have, made some notable contribution to the environment. I just want to mention very briefly, the commission met on Thursday, February 22nd, and we discussed the village's no mow May policy, and we received some input from community development, and we'll be submitting that to staff and the village president this week with some recommendations. I also would like to mention that the commission lost a commissioner, regretfully, so we are looking for another commissioner on the Environmental Concerns Commission. I listened to part of the meeting on February 12th, and I appreciated Trustee Kumar's question about where to bring cooking oil. And then you think, well, we're really not, if Trustee Kumar doesn't know, we must not be promoting it adequately enough. But the Salt Creek Sanitary District does collect cooking oil, vegetable-based cooking oil, and you can drop it off normal business hours, usually from 8 to 3:30.
30 seconds.
4 o'clock is cutting it a little bit close. That cooking oil is collected, it's part of a program, and it's converted into biodiesel. This is a program that was started by Scares. So if you've got cooking oil, drop it off at Salt Creek Sanitary District. And just to mention, we had a special collection after Thanksgiving, which was pretty successful. We had people from as far away as Oak Park drop off cooking oil. So I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, next person, Hamza Ahmed.
Good evening to the fellow residents of Villa Park. My name is Hamza Ahmed, and I'm a student at the College of DuPage. You know, a couple years ago in middle school, I learned about the Holocaust. I learned about how 6 million people were taken from their homes, stripped of their dignity, and how the world watched as the attempt to exterminate them from the existence took place. I sat there wondering, how was it possible that the rest of the world allowed this to happen? How could it be that there was such a clear oppressor, but the oppressed remained voiceless? Never again. Never again. These are the words that were said in 1945. Those words gave me hope. They gave a sense of relief that if anyone were to ever think of committing these crimes again, us humans would join together and obliterate them. Never again. Those words were a lie. I now understand how people can sit back and watch atrocities like the Holocaust take place and move on with their day as if nothing has happened. I now understand the plea of the oppressed can be ignored and seen as just the way things are. I am angered, I am frustrated, and I am embarrassed. I am embarrassed to say that I come from a country which is funding the genocide of the Palestinian people. As we claim to be the enforcers of justice all over the world, as we claim to be the enforcers of democracy and freedom, we support and fund this terrorism. We support the destruction of hospitals and schools, the destruction of the most basic essentials to a society. We are now supporting the starvation of more than 2 million people. Our tax money is being used to destroy and kill the people inside the open-air prison of Gaza. We must stand up as a people and put an end to this terrorism. In this modern day where we have information at our fingertips, lack of knowledge is not an excuse for taking a neutral stance or staying out of it. That is why I'm here in front of all of you asking this board to stand on the right side of history, to stand with the oppressed and not with the oppressor. Call for a ceasefire now. We need that resolution. As our children carry book bags, the children of Gaza carry the remains of their siblings. As our children learn to write their names, the children of Gaza write their names on their hands, their arms, their feet, so that they may be recognized after their bodies are obliterated. If these facts do not shake you to your core and ignite a fire in you to stop what is happening, then I recommend you see a therapist because something is wrong with you.
30 seconds.
And as the Holy Quran states, قال الله تعالى في كتابه المجيد وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ اللَّهَ غَافِلًا عَمَّا يَعْمَلُ الظَّالِمُونَ. And do not think that those who are that God is unaware of what the oppressors are doing. I will end off with one last saying. I say this with my chest high and my held. I say this with my chest out and my head held high. Under the protection of the First Amendment, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no other names signed up.
Okay. Anyone else, public comments on non-agenda items? If you could please state your name, right up there.
And sign in, please. Oh, thanks.
Good evening. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak again. I feel like I'm among friends, so I'm just going to share my thoughts with you. We came here for just one purpose, again, is to request you to stand for the resolution, which is, by extension, is requesting that we call for a ceasefire. I see mothers, grandfather, I'm a grandfather. You heard the story. So it is hard, it aches your heart. So, but I understand that you cannot make these decisions on emotions. I totally understand and respect that. You have many constituents you have to be responsible for, you have to be answerable. But here's one thing I'll share with you. I received a letter from Mr. Richard Dick Durbin, and I'm going to read a couple quotes from him. So this is not only about we're talking that we're trying to save the Gazans or we're trying to save the Palestinians. This is a regional benefit. This is we're trying to say is that every life is valuable. No matter where they come from, what color they're from, what religion they belong to, where are they coming from, it does not matter. Every life is precious. We even say that any life, whether it's human being or an animal, they're precious. So I'm just going to share this with Mr. Durbin. If you want, I can share this copy with you as well. He writes to me that the humanitarian toll inflicted on the people of Gaza has been of historic magnitude and increasingly becomes counterproductive to Israel's security. Since October 7, nearly 1 in every 100 people in Gaza has been killed. No cause or grievance justifies the deliberate killing of innocent civilians, and more must be done to bring this conflict to an end. This more is, we are part of that. Let's try to. One more sentence that he writes to me at the very bottom. For too long, this protracted conflict has inflicted untold suffering on innocent Israelis and Palestinians, and that is a fact. So we are here to request you that, like, you'll hear this again. You will say, hey, we're a small community. What do we have to do with it? But I'm going to ask the same question that I asked you last week. What do we teach our children? Don't we teach them to stand up for what is right and oppose what is wrong? Will you not be your own role model for your own children? You will say it is I heard last week you said it's a very difficult topic. I'm with you. But isn't it when you chose to be a leader of this town, you already chose to make difficult decisions? And when the time comes for you to make a difficult decision, are you going to let it go? So I call my children.
30 seconds.
I will come. I tell my children, so opportunity is knocking at your door. People will live, people will die, they'll pass. But will you be able to go home tonight and tell yourself, I did what I could? That's the simplest answer I will. You are representing the whole town of Villa Park. Definitely you are. But before that, you're representing yourself. So I'm going to keep on asking this. You can save one life. If you can save just one life, please save it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Samer Ode, S-A-M-E-R-O-D-E-S.
Please sign in.
I'd like to address the council regarding the introduction of an immediate and permanent ceasefire resolution for Gaza. While this resolution may be symbolic, it represents a recognition of our community's pain and grief. It will position Villa Park on the national map as a city that is open, respectful, and aware of its community. We just pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States with liberty and justice for all. We pledge justice for all. It must be for all. It cannot be selective. We need to live up to those words. Recently, I presented a lecture to my graduate students on the laws of warfare, covering the Geneva Convention, which prohibits attacks on women, children, hospitals, medical personnel, and places of worship. Sadly, I couldn't convey to them, despite the existence of these wars, war crimes, genocide, and ethnic cleansing still happening in places like Gaza. As of today, the number of bombs dropped on Gaza equal to 3 times the number of atomic bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan in World War II. That is 3 times the amount. Regardless of your political persuasion, if this is a local or federal matter, our connection to the federal representatives goes through you. Humanity knows no borders. Defending the rights to live and the right to life should be a local concern. Protesting against injustice is a local issue. Advocating for human dignity is a universal imperative. When our tax dollars contribute to supporting genocide and aiding blowing up schools, refugee camps, hospitals, and places of worship, this becomes a local issue. I urge you not to remain silent. The aggression is not some distant abstraction over there. Let us take action that allows us to sleep better at night, knowing that there is over 2 million people, of elderly men, pregnant women, innocent children, are living in the street of Gaza without shelter, water, or food. Let's ensure that Villa Park is on the right side of history, joining cities like Chicago, Detroit, Atlanta, Seattle, Oakland, Albany, Minneapolis, St. Louis, and San Francisco in passing ceasefire resolution. Let's establish our city as a symbol of advocacy for justice, a voice for the oppressed, and a beacon of humanity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak. My name is Samana Siddiqui. I am a resident of Villa Park for the last 6 years. Last summer, my 12-year-old son kept leaving his bike outside of the house at the end of the day. This kept happening, and despite reminders to put it in the garage, he would not do it. And I told him, someone might steal your bike, put it away. And his answer surprised me. He said, "No, Mom, we live in a safe neighborhood. Nobody's going to steal my bike." And of course, he was right. Although he did eventually put his bike away before winter, nobody stole his bike. I love this village and the safety, security, and peace that I feel for myself and my family here. My son's comment speaks to the kind of innocence and privilege that every child should have, no matter where they live in the United States or around the world. So it is in my capacity as a resident of Villa Park, of a peaceful, stable community, as well as a parent, that I call on my village board to please pass a ceasefire resolution. As of today, a staggering 29,000 Palestinians, mostly civilians according to the United Nations, have been killed in this war. As of February 14th, 2024, 134 Israeli hostages remain in captivity. A ceasefire resolution is urgently needed to save the lives of both Palestinians and ensure the safe return of Israelis to their families. In January, the International Court of Justice ordered the Israeli government to allow humanitarian aid into Gaza and to take all measures within its power to prevent genocidal acts. As starvation sets in Gaza, and the daily mounting death toll indicates this has not happened. You've already heard the numbers about how much our tax dollars are involved in this, so I'm not going to go into that. But I want to ask, as people of conscience, as Americans, tax-paying, law-abiding American citizens, as parents, people with families, how can we and our families enjoy the peace and stability that we do right here in Villa Park while remaining silent as our own taxes fund the destruction of other families, other children, in their homes, and other people's livelihoods. We have a duty as taxpayers, as law-abiding American citizens, and residents of Villa Park to speak up. This is our obligation, our moral obligation, our collective obligation as Americans. So I ask my board, the board of my village, to urgently issue a ceasefire resolution. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, Board of Trustees of Villa Park. My name's Adil Malik. I've been a human being since 1993. I eat food, I drink water, I sleep, and I breathe. Unfortunately, I can't say the same for the people of Palestine, who are literally fighting for their lives every single day. I'm here today to tell you that what's happening overseas, it's a humanitarian crisis. It has nothing to do with religion, has nothing to do with race, ethnicity, culture. It's about human life. And anyone who tells you otherwise is unfortunately misinformed. While our federal government officials sit back and do nothing to help the humanitarian crisis overseas, I'm here today in hope that our local officials will do something about it and stand up and maybe spread the word to our federal officials to help resolve the issue in Palestine. So today I have two requests. First request is that I know there's been a resolution that you guys are all aware of. To please consider and accept the permanent ceasefire resolution. Yes, you guys are all local officials, and some of you may think that you don't have any power, but that's not the case. You see the people around here, we wouldn't be here if we didn't think you guys didn't have any power. You guys do have power. You guys can use your voice, stand up, talk to our elected officials in the Capitol, and speak up for what's right. We're talking about human life, human beings who we all do the same thing. Yes, different color, different sizes, different shapes, whatever that may be, but we all do the same thing. We breathe oxygen, we drink water, whatever. Second thing I'm asking for you to do is to empathize a little bit with the people of Palestine. If you were in their place, wouldn't you want the rest of the world to support you? Wouldn't you want the rest of the world to see, yeah, this is wrong, what's happening? There's innocent children, innocent women, innocent men who are dying. It's time to stand up, speak for them, support them. You just made us do the Pledge of Allegiance before, I'm assuming, every single city council meeting. Justice for all, right? So let's live by those words, let's stand by those words. Justice for all. Justice for every single human being as well, right? That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, do we have anyone else?
Hello. Do you know what a Muslim refugee looks like? I am her. My name is Anita Abedin. I came to the States after enduring a genocide in Bosnia. As a refugee, as an American, I am appalled that the country I call home, the country that is supposed to stand for justice, is not only allowing a genocide to unfold, but is in fact funding it. I grew up with the sounds of tanks, bullets, and bombs instead of fireworks. I grew up without food, water, and a home. I came to this country and considered myself lucky and proud to be an American. But I have to be honest with you. After the billions of American taxpayer dollars lost, thousands of lives lost, and an endless pool of evidence of a documented genocide, I am embarrassed to be an American. I'm embarrassed that we continue to justify the killing of innocent children, women, and men as war casualties. I'm embarrassed that we are sending billions yet again to fund a genocide in the Middle East. I'm embarrassed to tell my 2-year-old Bosnian Palestinian son when he grows up that both his mom's and dad's lands have been destroyed. I'm embarrassed that we are even having a discussion despite the daily documentations of transgression. In Bosnia, over 100,000 people died over a period of 3 years. It's only been 143 days in Gaza since October 7th, and 30,000 people have died. We don't have 3 years. We don't have another month. We need a ceasefire now. If you have an ounce of humanity left, how can you justify what is happening in Gaza? How can you justify the destruction of homes, places of worship, and hospitals? How can you stand by and watch premature babies left to die after their oxygen was cut off? Children and their mothers being shot, men being stripped down, tortured, and humiliated, a whole population starved as the Israelis continue to block incoming aid. How do we justify raising our Ukrainian flags while ignoring the Palestinian crisis? How many times have we said never again? If you truly care about justice and human lives lost, we must demand a ceasefire in Gaza. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Public comments on non-agenda items?
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm here before you today to request your consideration of a resolution that would call for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza. You may be wondering, why would the crisis in the Middle East merit a statement from this village board? As you are all well aware, Villa Park is an extremely diverse community with connections that extend beyond state and national borders. Support for a ceasefire would not be a meaningless gesture, but would further build national consensus against this war being waged on the people of Gaza. National polls have already made clear that U.S. public opinion is already on the side of ceasefire, and that support is growing by the week. You do not influence foreign policy directly, but federal lawmakers do pay attention to what matters to you, the issues that compel you to act. I assure you, our congressmen and our senators will take notice of your passage of a ceasefire resolution, and they're the ones who directly influence foreign policy. I would also like to underscore that there are Palestinians amongst your constituents here in Villa Park. During these past 4 months, these Villa Park residents have been watching in horror as their ancestral homeland has been transformed into a post-apocalyptic war zone, that too with the support of our country's government. Can you imagine the agony that they must be in right now, watching day after day of atrocities? I urge you to pass a resolution to show your solidarity with your Palestinian constituents. They need to know that their village board opposes genocide and stands on the side of peace. Just as American municipalities passed resolutions against apartheid in South Africa during the 1980s, American municipalities are doing the same today. You have a chance to be on the right side of history, to be on the side of justice. As someone who believes all human life is sacred, I also want to emphasize that a ceasefire is also what will best facilitate the release of the Israeli hostages. In fact, at this point, more hostages have been killed by Israel's military campaign than have been freed by it. During the week-long temporary ceasefire that was in place last November, 105 hostages were released by Hamas and returned safely to their families. In other words, 7 days of ceasefire resulted in 0 hostages killed and 105 released. However, during 136 days of war, only 3 hostages have been rescued and 4 killed. According to Palestinian reports, the number of hostages killed by Israeli airstrikes includes an additional 53 victims. Let me be clear, a ceasefire is objectively a pro-hostage position because it ensures the survival of the hostages. A ceasefire would protect Israeli hostages from the same indiscriminate bombing and starvation that Palestinians are currently facing.
30 seconds.
The families of Israeli hostages are aware of this, which is why they are pressuring the Netanyahu government very publicly to pursue every option for their loved ones, including negotiations for a ceasefire. Please, for the sake of both Palestinians and Israelis in harm's way, I urge you to consider and pass a resolution for immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rania. This is very impromptu. I didn't even know if I could make it. I just came home from work. And I'm an anesthesia provider. I went home, grabbed my 3 children. They love history and government and all these processes and all this, so I thought it would be a good idea for them to see how the village hall works. And for me, this is very painful to do because on one hand, during the day, I'm providing anesthesia for a multitude of procedures across a variety of different patient populations, equally and with the best care I can give. On the other hand, I'm reading online how anesthesia supplies and medications are prohibited from being entered into Gaza. So for me, it's horrible. It's a horrible place to be, to know that while I'm providing anesthesia here, on one hand, the other hand, my tax dollars are going to fund a genocide and do the exact opposite, basically, of the opposite of the beliefs and morals and values that I hold dear to me. So I implore you to consider this ceasefire resolution. As many of us have already stated, this is a 100% humanitarian cause, a humanitarian issue, and we have a responsibility. We have a say in this. So I implore you to be on the right side of history and consider this resolution and all the people that it does affect here and across the world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Atif Ali, and I've been living in Chicago area since 1988. So, in the heart of the most enduring conflicts of our time lies a glimmer of hope, a hope for peace, a hope for justice. The region of Gaza has been marred by violence and strife for far too long, claiming innocent lives and perpetuating a cycle of despair. Today, we stand at a pivotal moment where the call for a permanent ceasefire echoes louder than ever before. It is time for us to recognize that the path to lasting peace in Gaza cannot be paved by bullets and bombs. It is time for us to embrace dialogue and diplomacy as the cornerstones of our efforts to end this senseless bloodshed. A permanent ceasefire is not just a cessation of hostilities, it is a commitment to building a future where the children can grow up without the constant fear of violence, where families can rebuild their lives without the specter of destruction looming over them. But let us not confuse a ceasefire with justice. True justice goes beyond the absence of conflict. It demands accountability for past wrongs and a commitment to upholding the rights and dignity of all people. Justice means acknowledging the suffering of civilian lives and working towards a resolution that addresses the root causes of the conflict and providing medical assistance and human rights to all. For too long, the people of Gaza have been borne by the brunt of this conflict, enduring blockade, occupation, and indiscriminate violence. Their cries for justice cannot go unanswered anymore. As we advocate for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza, let us also recommit ourselves to the pursuit of justice. Let us stand in solidarity with the innocent civilians, women, and children. Let us work tirelessly to ensure that their voices are heard and their rights are upheld. The road to peace and justice in Gaza will not be easy. It is a journey worth taking. It is a journey that requires courage, compassion, and unwavering determination. Let us seize this moment to sow the seeds of peace so that the future generations may reap the rewards of our efforts. At the end, I would like you to ponder upon a quotation from our beloved leader, Martin Luther King Jr.
30 seconds.
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So at the end, I would just like you to please consider this resolution and vote for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can we move 15 up? There's so many people here. I don't want it to sit through all them.
Hello, my name is Nisreen Akrabawi. I'm a proud Palestinian born and raised in America. I'm here this evening in hopes that you would understand the pain and suffering the people of Gaza are enduring daily. I have family and friends in Gaza who have been displaced. Many have lost their loved ones, their homes and jobs. This has tragically impacted them, including their children. There is no electricity, food has run out, and now they have resorted in using animal feed to ground up with leaves and feed their children. They sleep outside in the cold, and many children walk around barefoot, barely clothed. These children are our children. These Gazans are human and deserve basic human rights. Children are dying of cold and starvation, along with our elderly Gazans. I'm not able to speak with my friends and family just to check on them to make sure that they're still alive. How do we, as tax-paying Americans, see this, know this, and keep quiet? How do we, as taxpayers, how much more pain and suffering must we witness before Israel wipes out every selfless Gazan? Israel and their horrific crimes have proven that this is not war against Hamas. Instead, this war has proven genocide, and Israel is trying to ethnically cleanse the land for their own twisted and sick benefit, even if it means the slaughter of the innocent. I'd assume most of you guys are parents, grandparents with children. I want you guys to just sit back, close your eyes, and imagine those children that are, let me put it this way, children are born and die the same day. Find it in your heart to add this resolution to your agenda and pass it, because we cannot stay quiet. We have to speak up. I don't even sleep. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Patty Drugan. I'm here today from Bolingbrook, proud resident of Bolingbrook, and so very proud to say that we were able to get a resolution passed, and every single board member voted for it. Everyone voted for it. Believe it or not, it was Republicans and Democrats. The one thing that we were able to come together on. I am asking you, I am imploring you guys, we have lost our trust in our senators, in our congressmen, in our president. You are our brothers and sisters. Our Jewish brothers and sisters are with us out on these streets. The bottom line is this is just a choice between what is right and what is wrong. And so we want to try and bring all of humanity together. And while we're doing these things, because we have lost our trust in our federal government, all politics is local. That's why we're coming back home to you guys, because they're not listening to us. And so between Chicago, and you guys have already heard it, if we can come together, each small municipality, large municipality, we will be speaking, we the people will be speaking through you guys in order to get our senators and our congressmen and our president to listen. Everyone has a right to be free. They have a right to humanity. They have a right to live. We know what happened on October the 7th was wrong, and everybody spoke out about it. We all talked about it. But the ensuing genocide, it is horrific, and we cannot allow it to happen anymore. As a Christian woman, and I know you said this is not about religion, but whether you are a Muslim, whether you are a Christian, whether you are a Jew, we are all God's children. We are all God's children, no matter which faith you ascribe to. So my prayer is that you guys will join with us, join with humanity, and let's start the ball rolling so that we can get our senators and our congressmen and our president to hear us. And I thank you so very much for your time today.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Trustee Kozar.
So, very touching, everybody coming here, and thank you very much. I hear you. I have said multiple times before the board has a resolution or proclamation that the board needs to talk about it and have a discussion. I would like to make a motion for our next meeting that this topic be on our agenda, and then collectively as a community, we come up with that resolution. So I make that motion.
A second.
I will second.
A second?
A
Okay.
second.
Any discussion on that? Trustee Corkery.
I'd just like to thank everyone who came out and talked about this. It's not always easy getting up in front of a crowd, especially when it's something as important as this, but it's very important to speak out against injustice when you see it, and you have all come out in such numbers and with such passion that I hope that the board cannot ignore it and will support this resolution. Thank you.
Trustee Kumar.
I also am really touched by all the members of our community who have come up to stand up to pass this resolution. I'm very hopeful that something will come out of your coming out and that we will pass such a resolution. I am also hoping that you stay in touch and continue to support those who are in harm's way after the resolution is passed. It is not enough for us to pass. There are a lot of people suffering. They will need your continued support, and I hope that you hold this passion and continue to support all those individuals as you move forward. It is going to take a lot of work to put everything back to where it normally should stand. So I really, it's one step and we need to go all the way. And so I hope you stay as focused and as concerned about the people of Gaza and the people in Palestine and the hostages that we talked about. All of you stay in tune, concerned, and continue your efforts.
Trustee Alfano.
So I want to thank you again and reiterate what my fellow trustees up here have said. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for allowing us to hear you and for speaking your mind and your heart. And I know that we have children here, and I am one of the parents here on the board. And I do want to speak to the strength that we have here in Villa Park, because you coming out today reminds me of why we chose to live here in Villa Park. I have a young child who on October 7th, when he watches the news with me, said, what is school going to look like for me when we go back to school on Monday? Because this is going to directly affect my friends. And what is recess going to look like? Because there are going to be people on both sides of this who may not feel great about this. And as a mother and coming from the heart, what does that look like? What does that feel like? And Villa Park has always been great at standing up and standing firm, and we hold each other as neighbors and as friends, and we are always neighbors and friends first. Thank you very much for coming and speaking that to us today, and for showing that and showing up for neighbors and friends and for your families, and for letting us hear your truth. Thank you.
Trustee Pedro.
Thank you. I hear you. I understand. And I apologize that I'm getting a little choked up here, but this reminds me of when I was in the service. And I can't speak for the rest of the board, but I saw the horrific events that war has on a community. And these aren't soldiers. These are innocent people. I've seen this firsthand. I understand and I hear you. I want to move forward with this as well, and we will get this on the agenda. But I do, like my colleagues up here, I appreciate you coming out here, voicing your opinion, and coming in numbers. And that's what it's about. That's what community is about. And if there's anything I could do, even as this level, I want to help as much as I can, because I have seen that. I have seen the innocent suffer. I have some communities suffer. And war isn't short term. It's a long-lasting effects on communities for generations. And I hear you. Never again. Justice for all. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone that came here tonight, too, to speak up. I mean, this is a terrible tragedy. The whole world has seen this, and we will bring this up. Well, we'll do a vote on this, but we'll bring this up at our next board meeting. Clerk Krenicki, this is a vote to put the resolution discussion on the agenda for our March 12th, 2024 meeting.
Okay. Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Patrick?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar? President Cassell?
Yes. So we will put this on our next board meeting. It'll be on the agenda for discussion. Thank you. Okay, item 6, we have no proclamations. Item 7, we've already done our presentation. We have no appointments to the commission. Item 9 is our consent agenda. Item A is bill listings from the week of February 12th, 2024 for $342,110.72. February 20th, 2024, in the amount of $2,155,333.27 for a total amount of $2,497,443.99. Item B is approval of the minutes of the February 12th, 2024 Committee of the Whole and the Village Board of Trustee meetings. And item C is an ordinance adopting the 2024 zoning map. Each year, the village is required to publish a zoning map by March 31st per ILCS Section 11-13-19. The attached map looks slightly different from last year's, as there are now 3 inserts for particularly tight areas. Staff recommends approval of adopting the 2024 zoning map. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda? Trustee Kozar?
Make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Corkery? Questions or comments? Clerk Krenicki?
Okay, Trustee Patrick?
I think he walked
Oh,
out.
okay, he's out there. Okay. Trustee Alfano?
Yes.
Trustee Kozar?
Yes.
Trustee Corkery?
Yes.
Trustee Kumar?
Yes.
President Cassell?
Yes. Okay, no first readings tonight. We have ordinances for a second reading. Actually, yeah. These aren't second readings, right? These are just, because there's no, yeah. Right. There's no second readings required on these. Okay, item 12A is an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a business district tax and sales tax sharing agreement between the Village of Villa Park and Lone Star Cardinal Motorcycle Ventures LLC. Manager Harline.
The proposed ordinance authorizes the village president to execute an agreement on behalf of the village with Lone Star Cardinal Motorcycle Ventures LLC that is intended to provide incentives to develop a companion but separate business to the existing Wildfire Harley-Davidson dealership on North Avenue. Lone Star Cardinal would receive 100% of the business district tax and new sales tax generated by the Polaris dealership up to 8 years, or up to the total reimbursement of $1 million, whichever is less, for the development of the property at 120 West North Avenue. The Economic Development Commission reviewed the proposed agreement and unanimously recommended approval. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance. I will point out that this, if approved, this would stimulate the improvements to the building, and all additional property tax would go into the TIF district. So this will generate revenue towards the TIF district. So that is one reason why we're trying to stimulate growth here and follow our stated plans to try and develop new businesses on North Avenue.
Okay, thank you. And Director McLaughlin is here to answer any questions you may have. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance? Trustee Corkery? We have a second. Trustee Kumar. Okay, questions, comments? Trustee Corkery.
Are we expecting that reimbursement to hit $1 million? Is that something we can predict, or?
I'll let
Roughly.
Mark answer that.
Yes, good evening. In conversations with the property owner, they have a multi-yeared, multifaceted plan for improvements for the Polaris dealership, which their plan exceeds $1 million in expenditures. So depending on how many of the different phases they were able to accomplish, they could easily spend over $1 million, but we are capping it at $1 million.
So we're basically expecting the $1 million to be the less than.
We are budgeting for that
Okay.
and accounting for that in this particular program, hoping that they spend upwards of $3 million in improvements.
Sure. Yep.
And even with if they make 50% of their projected plan, if their revenues only hit 50% of their projections between themselves and the Polaris dealerships, we would still recoup all of our $1 million investment by the 8th year. So unless it is a really bad investment or something comes and drastically affects the economy, we should easily get our $1 million back in less than 8 years. And from then on, we continue to collect 100% of the sales tax and 100% of the business development tax, where right now, unless this, if this doesn't happen, none of those dollars are collected. Sure.
Yeah, just to summarize real quick, we stress tested at 50%. That's what Matt's referring to. So we took their numbers and their projections at full faith and effort, and then we stress tested at a 50% fail rate. And it still comes out that the village will have a positive return on investment for the initial $1 million. And then additionally, the BDT, the business district, ends in 2037, but we have in there a 2032 cap to recoup. So there'll be additional out years where we will not have to pay out the reimbursement, but actually collect to fund the BDT.
Trustee Kumar.
Yeah, and the EDC actually voted for this proposition as a group, and it seems like a very interesting deal because Polaris is kind of hitting the market with a product that we don't have very nearby. So it is a unique product, and it is bringing something new to Villa Park. So that's the comment I wanted to make.
Yeah, and I'd say too, I mean, their initial proposal to us was really pie in the sky, and Director McLaughlin and Manager Harline really worked hard with them to bring it in line so that it was not something that, it was something that we would be, that would help the village. And I mean, the initial proposal was kind of out there, but everybody worked together to make this a good deal for all involved. So, Trustee Kozar.
I'm in favor of this. How will we as a board receive regular reports on how much sales tax they've generated, just kind of basically what's going on? Can you give us an annual report or?
Yeah, it would be, so the specific sales tax can't actually come to you guys. There's only a few people that can actually see it, but you will see the check request for the reimbursement, and that would be on the financials. And that would be done at the annual basis, because it'll be paid out annually.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Trustee Fano.
Yeah, just a question about the difference between business district and TIF that came up with some residents.
Sure. So it actually came up at EDC as well.
Okay.
So this particular property obviously collects sales tax. And then there's also a business district on top of this property from Ardmore, no, what is that? No, from Villa to the Mexican restaurant. That entire block, 3 properties, is the business district tax area, the BDT. All of that also happens to be within TIF 3.
Okay.
So they just happen to be layered, but they are not, they don't talk to each other. They're different, right? So in this particular area, they're going to make an above $1 million investment, which then will also increase the property value, which will then also help fund TIF 3.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're not, this has nothing actually to do with TIF, except that it'll benefit from it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Hey, Clerk Kornecki, please.
Okay, Trustee Kozar,
Yes.
Trustee Alfano,
Yes.
Trustee Kumar,
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, item 12B is an ordinance approving an amendment releasing parcels from the redevelopment project area of the Kenilworth Tax Increment Financing District, TIF 5. Manager Harling.
This ordinance approving an amendment releasing parcels from the redevelopment project area of the Kenilworth Tax Incremental Financing District, TIF 5. This ordinance is an amendment releasing parcels. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance. Community Economic Development Director McLaughlin is here if you'd like to ask any questions. This one and the next 4 ordinances all deal with preparing and approving of the elements for TIF 7.
Good, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the ordinance 12B?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Corkery, do we have a second? Trustee Kumar, questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Kornicki.
Okay, trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Kumar,
Yes.
trustee Kozar.
I'm going to recuse myself because I own property on Kenilworth within this district.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Corkery,
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes.
I think, I'm not sure if I can ask trustee Patrick, you didn't hear the,
Yeah, he just came back.
should I count?
Can we include him?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
Yep. Trustee Patrick? Oh, okay. Did you get that one? Clerk Kornicki?
Yeah, the
Okay.
last one I put him in.
Great, thank you. Okay, item 12C is an ordinance terminating the designation of the St. Charles Road redevelopment project area as a tax increment financing redevelopment project area and dissolving the special tax increment allocation fund for said redevelopment project area, which is TIF 4. We have a motion for 12C.
I'll make
Trustee
that motion.
Corkery, do we have a second? Trustee Kumar, questions or comments?
I did want to say, and I think it's in the memos, but in case anybody's not reading the memos at home and is curious, there is a very specific reason why these ordinances are in this order. We have to release the parcels from TIF 5 so they're available to be put in TIF 7. We have to dissolve TIF 4 so that that area can be brought into TIF 7. And then we define we accept the plan, define the area, and then do the financials. And that's all I had.
Okay, sorry, I forgot to.
No, that's all right. And Community Economic Development Director Mark McLaughlin's here, who can explain it at further depth if you need that.
Okay, great. Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Kornicki.
Okay, trustee Patrick,
Yes.
trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar,
Yes.
trustee Kumar.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Item 12D is an ordinance approving a tax increment redevelopment plan and redevelopment project for the St. Charles Road Commercial Corridor redevelopment project area. Manager Harling.
This ordinance approves a tax increment redevelopment plan and redevelopment project for the St. Charles Road Commercial Corridor redevelopment project area. Staff recommends approval of this ordinance.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for 12D? Trustee Corkery,
I'll make that motion.
you have a second? Trustee Kumar,
Yes.
questions or comments? Okay, Clerk Kornicki.
Trustee Alfano,
Yes.
trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Item 12E, an ordinance designating the St. Charles Road Commercial Corridor redevelopment project area of Villa Park, a redevelopment project area pursuant to the Tax Increment Allocation Redevelopment Act. Manager Harling.
This is an ordinance designating the St. Charles Road Commercial Corridor redevelopment project area, a redevelopment project area pursuant to the Tax Increment Allocation Redevelopment Act per the previous approved plan. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for 12E? Trustee Kozar?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll
Trustee
second.
Corkery. Okay, questions or comments? Clerk Kornicki.
Okay, trustee Kumar.
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Item 12F, an ordinance adopting a tax increment allocation financing for the St. Charles Road Commercial Corridor redevelopment project area. Manager Harling.
This is an ordinance adopting tax increment allocation financing for the St. Charles Road Commercial Corridor redevelopment project area
which is creating TIF 7. Staff recommends approval of the ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for 12F? Trustee Corkery.
Make that motion.
Okay, we have a second? Trustee Kumar? Any questions or comments? Trustee Kozar.
So kind of from the get-go, I've been on the fence on whether to support this TIF or not support this TIF. Ultimately, I do support the TIF, and I'd like to see the whole board unanimously support this TIF. But for what I've heard from our constituents and the businesses up and down St. Charles Road, a couple of things have kind of come, that have been objectionable to them or just concerning, rather. One is just the sheer size of it. I know that part of the reason we have the size that we do and the way that it's laid out is it's tied into the RDA for the union, which is going in at the old AK mulch. So I think we've had a number of TIFs in our town, and they've always kind of been, I don't know, maybe not as transparent as possible. So that's something that I'd like to see change with this large TIF. So I've got 4 recommendations that I'd like to see. These aren't motions, but these are things that I've talked with all my trustees about. I've also talked with Community Development Director Mark McLaughlin. So for starters, in all our TIF districts, I'd like to offer some uniform TIF incentives. Incentives that would be available for anybody in the TIF district of our village. I've gone to a number of different villages and seen what they've posted, what they actually put out there. This has been, kind of an issue from the get-go with me because I own property in the TIF, and in the TIF over where fuel is, 324 East Central. And there weren't any programs that were out there. When I approached the village manager at the time, it was very ad hoc. I don't want to see it ad hoc. I want this open and available for anybody to know, hey, these are incentives that you can use. So ideas would be up to 50% for building facade, for signage, for parking lot, for exterior accessibility items. When it comes to restaurants, perhaps we can offer a forgivable loan. Some other communities have gone up to 30% of the project cost for establishment of a new restaurant. The benefit there is we get the places for eating tax. So we give up here, but we get here. And hopefully we're getting longer term than just what the benefit on the TIF side would be. On the retail business side, same thing, forgivable loans. I've seen up to 50% of the project cost for establishments of new retail businesses. The benefit there is we would get sales tax. And then grants for relocation of existing businesses into or out of the TIF, and 50% reimbursement for sewer, water, and electrical upgrades. Now, up to means that I'd like staff at some point to come up with what that up to might be, and maybe do some research and come back to the board and be able to say, okay, here's a nice package of TIF incentives that will not only work for the St. Charles corridor, but will work for all of our TIF districts. Secondly, I'd like to see just how we saw that we had for the Polaris, where economic development had some say in the matter. So I'd like to see any requests for TIF funds to first go through economic development. As Trustee Patrick, or his new name is now Coach, as Trustee Patrick has said, he'd like to see our commissions more empowered. And, this is perfect for economic development. They can vet it, they can ask the questions, they can come back to our board and say, we approve, we don't approve, this is why. And I think all those TIF requests should go through economic development. Number 3, I'd like to see the board vote to approve or deny any TIF funds and take into consideration whatever economic development recommends, similar to like variances for our planning and zoning. But more specifically, any request for the use of TIF funds in excess of the manager's spending limits, which I believe is 20 or 25,000, by our village government for use on public property would need board approval. So, you know, smaller amounts don't need necessarily approval, but anything larger, I'd like to see that come through so that we know if money's being spent on public property. And then the last thing I'd like to see is reports. So I'd like to see that at least twice a year. My understanding is that once a year, we have to submit something to the state to basically talk, you know, explain what's going on in the TIF. I would like that brought to the board twice a year, so every 6 months. And in that report, I'd like to see a balance sheet. I'd like to see if any new businesses have come into the TIF. I'd like to see if any known existing businesses have left the TIF, because it is possible that you can leave the TIF and not necessarily know about it. But if we know, we'd like to see that. What the money has been spent for, and to whom. And then lastly, any ideas for new incentives. So let's keep that list of incentives growing and make it public. Those are my 4 suggestions that I'd like to see. I think these reports are very important. We haven't really gotten reports where we've had it on the agenda and we've been able to discuss it and see. So I think that will help all the trustees just kind of understand what we're doing in our TIF. They go on for a long time. They're costing, I mean, there's a lot of money in there. So we need to have oversight as a board. So those are my 4 recommendations. I support this, and I also would like to see a unanimous vote because I'd like to show any businesses that are interested in coming to Villa Park as a whole and Villa Park on the St. Charles corridor that Villa Park is open for business. It's a new Villa Park. It's not the same Villa Park that has been here in the past. This is a new Villa Park. We are open for business. We want you to come in. We want to work with you, and we want to see our Villa Park grow, and we want to see that revenue grow for our residents. So those are my thoughts on it.
Trustee Alfano.
So I really want to support this TIF, and I have some reservations. And as I normally do, I come in ready to listen to my fellow trustees and to any information that staff gives me. And I like what I'm hearing from Trustee Kozar, because I do believe that the feedback that I get from residents who have been here for quite a long time and from business owners, and the feedback that I received when I have attended the TIF meetings very much was, we don't do well with TIFs. We've had one really successful TIF, or it's successful when it's built for one particular business. After that, it kind of falls apart, and then we don't know what is happening with it. We're not sure what's going on with it. So I do think that there needs to be some kind of oversight. I would feel comfortable with that. I do think that the residents do have some concerns, and I think that they're valid. And we've talked about, this weekend, we talked about this trust, and we've talked about how we are open for business, and we are a new board, we are a new staff, and we're moving in a different direction. We're kind of trying to correct and maybe even overcorrecting. I think that if we were to look at these 4 points, or some variation of what Trustee Kozar has presented, I think that that would go a long way in telling residents and business owners that are currently here that, hey, we can do things differently. We are keeping an eye out on things, while also presenting to future businesses, hey, we're open for business, and we are new, and we are different, and we're ready. I'm apprehensive about this, so I am willing to listen to what my other trustees here on the board have to say.
Trustee Kumar.
A couple of things. I am very for this TIF. I've been considering having this TIF for a very long time, because as far as the corridor is concerned, the St. Charles corridor has been slightly, over the years I've lived here, has actually gone down in its ability to, stay new, fresh, and this, I think the TIF district will help, at least from a facade point of view, at least minimally help. Now, I am not disagreeing with Trustee Kozar. I do like the idea of uniform TIF incentives that are spelled out. I think we should have a meeting to discuss this once Director McLaughlin maybe comes back with a fixed list of what, how, when, and how much that he thinks is possible under current law and feasibility. So I would like to have that discussion. It may be a good discussion overall for a COW meeting. I think that we should put on the agenda at one point to have that full discussion with all of us there, and some extra information. But I am absolutely for making sure that this TIF goes through. I do believe that it's going to be a good thing for Villa Park overall. I understand also it does take commitment from the school districts and all the other bodies that have to accept to have this TIF, and they are on board also. So having had this discussion, everybody feels that this is kind of necessary to promote our economic growth in Villa Park in the near future. But I do agree that what is eligible, it can be very varied from TIF to TIF. How long that is held can be varied as well. It's something that we need to address as a group and kind of figure out what would be an expense that could be reimbursed at whatever rate it can be. So we need to have that full discussion.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Patrick.
Thank you. The creation of a TIF district can be an amazing and beneficial tool for a municipality. It really can, if it's managed right. I understand our residents' concerns. Our tradition or our history hasn't been so kind to us when some of our previous TIF districts. However, I do 100% agree with the ideas that Trustee Kozar are coming up with. I also believe that we have the right staff in place that can embrace the mentality that I think collectively as a board is that Villa Park is open for business. This is a new Villa Park, and we need to turn this page now. And I think this will be different from previous TIF districts that have failed. I believe that we have the infrastructure in place, the staff in place, and a like-minded board to send that message. Villa Park is open for business.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I too would like to agree with everybody. I think this will be a good stepping stone for the village of Villa Park. It's going to get things going and bring Villa Park into the 21st century, which a lot of people have said we've been behind for a long time. Trustee Alfano?
I do have a question, and maybe this might be a question for Attorney Wolf, or it might be a question for Director McLaughlin. Is there anything in Trustee Kozar's proposition that is feasible, or is there something in there that would not be able to be done through the legal constraints of a TIF?
You want to Director McLaughlin go first, so you don't have to give a legal opinion on the fly.
No, I mean,
yeah.
just
I'll respond.
general,
I'll respond on the
not gonna get
work.
into the nitty-gritty.
I'll respond on the workload and the creation of the document. So then,
Yeah.
Attorney Wolf can handle any legal jargon. Yes, all of those items, the requested docs, the programs, absolutely. As far as the reporting goes, he's correct. We do an annual report that goes to the state comptroller. It's a very form. It's a form. It's spelled out exactly the information that they need. That can easily be replicated at the 6-month mark. So you guys get the state form, and then every 6 months counter that, you'll see, the Villa Park version of that, right? It's a financial document. What have you done so far? So it'll be 6 months. What have you done in the last 6 months? And what did you tell us you were going to do? That's basically what it is. And the state document, which is cool, is that it's also a running total for the life of the TIF. So on page 4, when you go flip over it, you're like, oh, since day 1, you see all the projects, and then eventually at 23, it's, a couple pages because it's successful and that kind of stuff. So absolutely, no problem there. Incentive programs. Yes, we actually already have a facade improvement which got updated recently to include water and utility connections. We also are currently operating a similar program in a non-TIFed area, Ardmore. So the idea is to actually roll that out similar on St. Charles and include some additional programs in that area, which Trustee Kozar and I have discussed that there are some very good programs in other municipalities that I will not hesitate to steal. So yes, I am on board with actually letting the public know we have programs, we want to see investment. The time is now as we are ready, right? It's been 40 years of not much investment on this corridor. Things have got to flip, right? So fully on board with that. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. And then the transparency, yeah. All major expenditures are budgeted, so you'll see them at the budget time, and then actually when we request a check to buy something, or if we're reimbursing somebody part of those programs that's above the manager spending authority, all those things will come to you, and we can demarcate TIF 7 expenditure, TIF 5 expenditure, TIF 3 expenditure, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So you guys are going to see that we can just highlight that a little bit more if need be.
Yeah. Director, that sewer and water replacement, that was actually done on, for Villa Perk, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We included that in there?
Yep. Yeah, they had to upsize their water. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That's correct.
Trustee Kumar.
I asked that, the stuff that Trustee Kozar talked about, the discussion we just had from Indirect McLaughlin, that we sit down, get it all consolidated quicker than later, because once the TIF passes, you're kind of on a running clock as the money comes in. So it's kind of important to kind of have that discussion earlier, get it on the books, and get it publicized and published to businesses who are coming out. So I would, recommend that we kind of move on that. I see things that you say I would love to steal. We'd like to hear about what we would love to steal from others. So I'm very happy to, have that discussion. We need to have it. We have to, get it out there so the board is supporting you in your efforts to bring Villa Park in the century we should be in. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Attorney Wolf, did you want to say anything?
Oh, yes, if it's a TIF eligible expense, which the itemized TIF incentives that were suggested appear to be TIF eligible expenses, the TIF monies can be allocated for those things, those improvements. With respect to approving or denying TIF funds at the board level, if a private developer is getting an incentive via TIF funds, that would come to the board via an agreement. So the board would have full authority to review that and make decisions in that regard. That was the only other comment that I didn't hear was addressed by Director McLaughlin, but otherwise, I don't see anything in the points that were presented by Trustee Kozar that would cause any problems.
And that would be, I'm sorry.
Josepha.
That would be like in the form of an RDA, those
Right.
types of agreements?
An agreement or a development agreement or some other type of agreement.
Okay.
Yeah, for the non-program based things like the facade, that's a program, or the utility reimbursement, that would be a program. So the program would be created, you guys would authorize it, and then we have the ability to spend, $5,000 or whatever the deal ends up being. It's the full-blown RDA on the big projects that you'll see, zoning and subdivisions and an RDA all in one swoop, and that's where, we're talking about millions of dollars at that time. Yeah, that lengthy discussion, fine points, all that good stuff.
Right.
Mhm.
And then I have one more question then. So if we are voting on this tonight, do we need to make an amendment to vote on this with this particular understanding, or are we voting on this with this understanding?
All of the things outlined can be done without an amendment.
Okay.
And so it's board directive, staff listening, I'm going to go do my job.
Just wanted to add that some of the things that were suggested are being done, but yeah, those can be done. And and we can bring this back at a committee of the whole meeting to give you a sort of a how we could do this and have some more discussion if you'd like to do that. But first of all, I'd like to say it's I really appreciate the comments by several specific and also in other connotations about this project, the support for Director McLaughlin, the work that Storino, Romello, and Durkin have done to get this to where it is. So that kind of faith is really appreciated. But yeah, there's nothing here. I mean, there's a couple things that, that sounds like work, but Marks doesn't seem fazed by it. So, a lot of the stuff we have to do anyway, as he's mentioning, sometimes some might, have to report twice. There's nothing in those suggestions that are particularly onerous. And I think the comments that you've made and other people have made, whatever happened at this point to create those items of trust, the survey data from our strategic plan, all that sort of stuff, indicates that it is wise to do, more than is typical in terms of keeping track of what it is that we're doing. So, I have no problem. In fact, I welcome, this kind of trust building exercise to show people that we are working on this, and we've got a team that's going to make this work better than some of the other large footprint TIFs we've had. So that's my comment. I would be happy to work with this.
All right, Trustee Kumar.
Just one quick comment. So there is both Director McLaughlin and Manager Harline pointed out. Long day. Manager Harline pointed out, there are certain things that they are doing already. Now, the issue is, I think, about information getting out there and keeping it consistent and having a form that's consistent that people know about. So I think that development of that structure is, I think, what all of us on the board are looking for, that structure. And if we can have that discussion about how that structure is going to be so that people can apply this way or that way, it's 50 or 20%, 10 or 6%, whatever, that discussion needs to be made. So it's set a little bit in stone. So when someone looks at it to go and apply for such a grant, they have full information so that they are fully informed on that.
Absolutely.
That particular thing, so that they don't get a wild surprise. And I'm very happy that EDC is going to be working on kind of filtering these things. That is a nice nice plus, as that it is made up and consists of many business owners and people who care about business in Villa Park. And I ask, if you want to join the EDC, come out, please join the EDC also. This is one more thing that we will be doing. Thank you.
Good, thanks. Okay, anyone else? Okay, Clerk Kornacki.
Okay, Trustee Corkery,
Yes.
Trustee Patrick,
Yes.
Trustee Alfano,
Yes.
Trustee Kozar,
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, so we are moving along on that. Item 12G is an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a license agreement between the Village of Villa Park and Schamberger Brothers, Inc. of 101 East Hill Street, Villa Park, Illinois, 60181. Manager Harline.
This is an ordinance authorizing the village president to execute a license agreement for a portion of the Hill Street right-of-way between the Village of Villa Park and the owner of the property at 101 East Hill Street to allow for the existing parking lot and fence to remain in place. This agreement will bring the property into compliance and allow the owner to acquire permits to make minor improvement. Staff recommends approval of this ordinance. The agreement only permits the continuing existence of fence encroachment, but will not transfer if the land is sold. Director of Public Works, Michael Guerra, is here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion for the ordinance. Trustee Corkery, do we have a second? Trustee Kumar, questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kornacki, please.
Okay, Trustee Kozar,
Yes.
Trustee Kumar,
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Okay, item 13A is a resolution approving the renewal of the DuPage County contract with Al Warren Oil Company, Inc. for the joint purchase of gasoline and diesel fuel. Manager Harling.
This resolution is to approve and concur with the DuPage County, with DuPage County to renew the contract with Al Warren Company, Inc. for the joint purchase of gasoline and diesel fuel. The pricing terms and conditions as required by the specifications will remain the same as last year. The Fleet Department utilizes this bid currently for its purchase of fuels and has found the pricing to be the same as other joint purchase contracts. Staff recommends approval of this resolution to allow for the continued purchasing of fuel from Al Warren Company for 2024.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we have a motion for the resolution. I'll make that motion. Trustee Corkery, do we have a second? Trustee Kumar, questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kernicki, please.
Okay, Trustee Alfano,
Yes.
Trustee Kozar,
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Item 13B is a resolution, the supplemental resolution for motor fuel tax for section 22-00102-00-RS 2023 Rebuild Illinois Resurfacing Project. Manager Harling.
This is a resolution to approve the supplemental resolution for an additional $77,928.76 of motor fuel tax funds for the 2023 Rebuild Illinois Resurfacing Project. The village board approved the final change order for the 2023 Rebuild Illinois Resurfacing Project, which increased the total cost of the project to $1,278,671.60. Prior to the project, the village approved resolutions for Rebuild Illinois bond and motor fuel tax totaling $1,200,742.84, leaving a funding gap of $77,928.76. This resolution is required to allow the utilization of motor fuel tax to fund the difference. Staff recommends approval of this resolution to utilize the motor fuel tax. Director Guerra is here if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, do we have a motion for the resolution?
I'll make that
Trustee
motion.
Corkery, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Kozar, questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Clerk Kernicki, please.
Okay, Trustee Kumar.
Yes.
Trustee Corkery.
Yes.
Trustee Patrick.
Yes.
Trustee Alfano.
Yes.
Trustee Kozar.
Yes.
President Kazone.
Yes. Item 14, unfinished business. Trustee Patrick.
Yes, I have unfinished business
Okay.
to talk about. Good to go?
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Well, as we saw earlier today, basketball season has come to an end, and I can't stress the importance of programs like these for our community, for our youth, for our kids, and how important these types of programs are for us. And shortly, April 1st marks opening day for baseball season. Now, it's not too far away, but where I'm going at with this is that previously the village has entered into agreements or discussions with creating an intergovernmental agreement, an IGA, between School District 45, Villa Park Youth Baseball, and the village. And I would like to know what the update is with the village's status on that, and how we as a village can ensure that this season, this baseball season, can actually happen for these kids. I've been approached by many residents, especially from the Villa Park Youth Baseball League, very concerned about not being able to reach an agreement between all three entities. So I would like to know what our status is with this, and if we are unable to get all three parties on board with a plan, is there something that we could do as a village in a temporary place, so that way we can make sure that baseball season for Villa Park Youth Baseball League can actually happen, and that we don't have to turn kids away because we don't have fields to play on. Again, programs like these are vital for our community. They build us together, build bonds, and they really give our youth an opportunity to grow into young adults. So again, I would like to know what the village's plan is moving forward, and what sort of discussions have been transpiring since? Thank you.
I'll turn it over to Manager Herling.
Trustee Patrick, as I think you already know, the Village of Villa Park and District 45 both signed an agreement, a three-way agreement last year, and Villa Park Youth Baseball chose not to sign that agreement. The village tried to get the youth baseball to sign an agreement for the remainder of the year last year to at least give us a piece of paper that would go along with and support why we charged them $15,000 as we had agreed to and verbally at the beginning of the year. They did not sign that agreement. So today, we met with them to try and come up with a plan for the future. I've also talked to District 45 about their plan. One of the things that youth baseball has been telling us is that they want to take an active part in maintaining the field, or at least prepping the field for the games. We're not opposed to that. The question then becomes, whose equipment, where did the equipment go, and that sort of thing. And they brought this originally to District 45, and there's discussion about placing some sort of structured building shipping container on the District 45 fields. So we spoke with them today. I don't know the exact outcome of that meeting because that took place at about 3:30 today, 3:30, 4 o'clock today. But the village has worked well with youth baseball for a number of years, and we hope to continue to do so. We were a little, I guess we were a little surprised when there was a reluctance to sign an agreement with us last year. There's been some new leadership, and we stand ready to work with them. We just need to make sure that we know exactly what it is they want. So the discussion has continued or restarted, and we can keep you abreast. We are trying to prepare. I talked to Attorney Wolf last week about preparing the agreement. We sent her what had been the typical agreement for a number of years. Very something that the Parks and Rec Department had drafted themselves. So we'll try and get that settled. As far as the status with District 45, District 45's discussion with us, preliminary discussion, was that, and actually what Attorney Wolf suggested last year is that we enter into agreement with youth baseball for our fields. District 45 enter into an agreement for play on their fields. And if District 45 wants assistance in the prep of their fields from our staff, that we enter into agreement for District 45 for that. That way, the three-way agreement didn't seem to work. So if the youth baseball, particularly on District 45 fields, if they want to step up and work and try their hand at getting volunteer laborer to do the prep of those fields, I think that's an excellent, they can save a lot of money if they can do that. If they've got the volunteers and they can consistently provide that. There's nothing wrong with that. I know that, talked to the president, and he's given me examples of other volunteer youth baseball associations that have done that. We're not opposed. They're not opposed to that. We'd like to see, and I don't want to we're getting way into the weeds here, but I think that's starting with them working on District 45 fields might be the best strategy. But there's some things we got to work out, and we've started having those discussions.
Judge Patrick.
Thank you. Thank you. And I understand completely that IGAs like that take time to develop and discussions need to be had. So I appreciate that. I would like for the village to continue pursuing those discussions. And I would like to see Villa Park Youth Baseball have a full season this year without having to worry about fields. I would like to see some sort of resolution come to this, even if it's a temporary one, until we could finalize and nail down a final IGA. Again, I know that you said that there were discussions today, but I would really like to see the village to make sure that we maintain an open door for both entities, District 45 as well as Villa Park Youth Baseball, to ensure that our kids actually have fields to play on by April 1st. Thank you.
Okay, any other unfinished business? Okay, do we have any additional new business anyone would like to bring up? Okay, item 16 are village commission reports, the acceptance of the Environmental Concerns Commission minutes of the November 16th, 2023 meeting, acceptance of the Bike, Pedestrian, and Transit Subcommittee minutes of the November 16th, 2023 and December 16th, 2023 meetings, and the Traffic and Safety Commission minutes of the November 7th, 2023 and January 2nd, 2024 meetings. Item 17, Village Clerk's Report.
No report.
Item 18 is our trustee reports. We'll start on my left. Trustee Alfano.
Thank you. I want to thank, again, to the residents who came out tonight and to our neighbors who came out tonight, who spoke about what was on their hearts and on their minds concerning the situation in Gaza. And I look forward to our discussion on that at our next meeting. Thank you to Chief Stapleton and to the fire department tonight for hosting us at the new fire engine push-in. That was very informational for me. That's new information for me, and I had a great time learning a little bit about that history and just getting to know everybody better. So thank you for that invitation. I had a great time. Coffee with the board is this Saturday on March 2nd, and I believe there's a beam signing for the new rec center, 10 to 12 this Saturday as well. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Trustee Kumar.
Hi, just to reiterate, I'm very touched by all the constituents that came out, starting with Dinesh, about the ceasefire resolution. It's not an easy thing to come out on a weekday. Many, many touching stories, many concerns that will hopefully be addressed by this discussion and the start of discussions. So I'm very happy about that. I also want to thank everyone who came out for our strategic planning meeting on Saturday to come up with the new strategic plan for our village. Corey Plosh did a great job of driving us towards some new goals for our village, which I think is going to be a good start to a growing, happy village in the next couple of years. As far as the beam signing, I think anybody in Villa Park can come out for that. So please come out between 10 and 12. We're really excited about the new rec center coming in town. Let's all come out and try to sign that beam between 10 and 12. And hopefully I'll be there before 12, knowing me. So that's where I'm at. And thank you all for being there. And that's about it.
Okay. Trustee Corkery.
I'm going to echo my colleagues here once again and just say thank you to everyone who came out, even in the face of the horrific crime that's happening in Gaza right now. It's very encouraging to see so many people from the community come out and make their voices heard. And look forward to supporting the ceasefire resolution at the next meeting. That's all. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you. Hey, all right, Coach.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I just want to congratulate our fire department on such an amazing event tonight, the push event there. To be honest, I had never heard of this tradition before. And when I did, I thought it was just the coolest thing. And to be a part of it was even better. So amazing job, Chief, and to your entire department. This is something that hopefully, if we ever have to buy another fire engine down the road soon, that we can do that again. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate your department coming out in numbers too. So thank you for that.
Not soon.
Well, no, I know.
Sooner or later.
We
We
can
buy another one.
Yep.
Just
I'll do it for you. And to reiterate about the beam signing as well, that's a very important, a very cool idea that is implemented here in Villa Park. And, it's kind of like a time capsule. Get your name up on there, and one day you might be able to look back at it or point up to it and show your kids or whoever that, hey, there's my signature up there. So I think that's a really cool event. Please come out for that in numbers as well. And lastly, I think this was a very good meeting. Emotional, I think, as well. And it is our job as elected officials to listen, to hear our constituents. And we need to be open as elected officials to our constituents and be able to reach us, to talk to us, to email us, and express your concerns. And I really do appreciate everyone that did come out tonight. And from me to you, again, I hear you. And I know that there is a lot of bad going on in this world right now, but I am hopeful. And I think we hold on to that and push forward. And I am hopeful that this board will be able to come to a collective understanding. So thank you for coming out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Kozar.
Many of the same things that you've already heard from the board, but Saturday is Coffee with the Board. Be a great time to start that conversation and that dialogue. So I would encourage anybody to come out, but especially, on the topic of the resolution. It is an opportunity that we can talk in a less formal capacity and kind of, start that dialogue. So please. On other matters, so on Saturday, there was a little confusion about recording of the special meeting. And I just want to make it clear, we had a consensus of the board that all special meetings would be recorded. I just want to make sure that that is very clear for everybody, so that I don't like having consensus or making decisions and then having to go back and find them and prove them. So let it just be clear. And if anybody objects, now's your time to object. But all special meetings must be recorded, period. End of discussion, unless somebody objects to that. So I don't know that it ever has to be brought up again. Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to the village president's report. I received an email tonight. I meant to bring it up at non-agenda, but this is from Alan Leishman. He's the chair of the Bicycle Pedestrian and Transit Subcommittee. And his email said, do you have a neighbor that snow blows the entire block? Do you know a scout that shovels driveways for the elderly? Send them your thanks by nominating them for a Golden Shovel Award. Simply complete the online nomination form at bit.ly/VP-golden-shovel, and the Bike Pedestrian and Transit Subcommittee will send them a certificate and a thank you. Together, we can help keep Villa Park's walkways safe. So thank you for Mr. Leishman for sending that. I'm sure online, that should be online, wouldn't it? For the Bike and Pedestrian Subcommittee?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm sure if you go online, you can see that. Like to also thank the chief today for that push-in ceremony. It's always great to see new equipment to keep our residents safe here in Villa Park. The beam signing, as several people have said, is this Saturday. It will be at the parking lot on Villa, across from the new rec center where that's going. Wednesday will be our workshops for the comprehensive plan. The businesses will have a workshop between 8 and 9:30 in the morning at Sugar Creek Golf Course at 500 East Van Buren. And then the community workshop will be from 6:30 to 8 o'clock at night at Allegra Banquets at 237 West St. Charles Road. So we've already had a lot of good emails and suggestions, so hopefully we'll get a big turnout this Wednesday. Paralyzed Veterans of America, the Vaughan chapter, has a save the date, March 23rd through 24th at Windy City Curling in Villa Park on Roosevelt Road. As everyone knows, Villa Park is the curling capital of DuPage County. But this is a sticks-only bonspiel, which means they are no sweeping. They, obviously, these veterans are in wheelchairs, but they, from what I understand, they do a great job. And the PVA chapter has really been helping with them, and I believe they're going to have another tournament in 2025. So this is March 23rd, 24th at Windy City Curling. You can visit their website, www.vaughan, VAUGHANPVA.org. I was very fortunate on the 15th to have a meeting with DuPage managers and mayors and Senator Tammy Duckworth. And today, DMMC put on with our federal reps, and I was able to speak with Sean Caston today. And both our senator and our representative are very interested in helping out local communities. Right now, budgets in Washington is not getting there, but they are very hopeful that something will be done, and there are a lot of earmarks that we can get. So I've been talking to the Manager Harline, and we will be addressing them and hopefully personally get them here in Villa Park. We did have Senator Caston, Representative Caston, we met with him when he first got elected. We had breakfast with him, but he's very, very interested in helping out. So hopefully we can get some money from them. And as everyone said, Coffee with the Board is this Saturday. So hope to see everybody. Go to the Village Manager's Report.
Just wanted to thank everyone who could make it this weekend to the strategic planning meeting. It was a really useful project that isn't the only time we're going to be discussing those matters. I'll be coming back. In fact, I'll be talking tomorrow with Corey Plash as follow-up to some of the things that were mentioned, but things that we're going to have to put dollar figure amounts on. But I would really appreciate, and those who couldn't make it, this isn't meant, I understand, if you happen to be celebrating your 29th anniversary and had planned that for a year, I guess that's, that's an adequate excuse. But, so I know that some people couldn't make it, but those who did, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the time. I really appreciate the effort and the buy-in and the way that everyone participated. March Committee of the Whole, I'll have draft rules of order and procedure for discussion, and I hope to have that draft out to you by Monday at the latest, so you guys have a week to look over it and have questions prepared. And I think that this will help with a few items to make sure that everybody understands what is something that an elected official wants versus something that the entire board has made a motion second and had a approval. The other thing is it's one of the things is how do we do this so that we have transparency so that people who know that something's coming up as opposed to coming up with something during a meeting. There may be different points of view. That's why it's always best to have something on an agenda so that there are people in the community if they want to come out and talk about them. So those are some things that we'll look at through that process so that we can continue to make our meetings as well run as possible and as open and transparent to the community as possible. So.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, we have no executive session tonight, so I have a motion for an adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Corkery, second.
I will
Trustee
second.
Kumar, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thanks for being here tonight, and we will see everyone on March 11th for our next meeting. Have a good week.